Sometimes the trail doesn't go cold. Sometimes the people who own it freeze it on purpose. 14 seconds of silence. 2 murders, 1 year apart. And one woman's voice, heard twice and called the police swore never existed. Until now. This is Unheard Evidence, where the facts speak louder than words. Daniel Cho had replayed Leah Parker's silence more times than he wanted to admit. 14 seconds between his question and her hanging up. 14 seconds where the only sound on the line had been her breathing, uneven, like she was weighing whether to speak or to bolt. In an ordinary investigation, that silence might have been just a personal quirk. In Willow Creek, it was practically a confession. The problem was, he had nothing official to tie her to the Winters murders. No police report mentioning her name after October 2nd, 2010. No witness statements. Nothing but Camille's theory that the voice in the erased call, the one patched through the Elk Ridge Fire Tower, wasn't Marlene Winters at all, but Leah Parker. But Leah had left in 2011. And according to a background pool Daniel ran through a quiet contact in Sacramento PD, she'd kept her nose clean in California. No arrests. Number 911 calls. Not even a parking ticket. It didn't add up. If she'd been afraid enough to leave Willow Creek after the murders, how had she managed to disappear into normal life so neatly? Daniel's next breadcrumb came in an unmarked envelope, slid under his apartment door sometime between 2 and 4 a.m. Inside, 3 things. A faded Xerox copy of a County Public Works time card from 2009. Technician, C. Colden. Project, Garrison Hollow Culvert Reinforcement. Hours, 9:99b. A GPS coordinate written in blue ballpoint pen. It mapped to the north rim of Garrison Hollow, a place locals avoided since a logger had been found dead there in 2009. A torn scrap of notebook paper. 5 words, written in jagged block capitals. They heard her twice. Garrison Hollow had been Camille's missing call number 1. In her notes, the ones Daniel had recovered from a thumb drive hidden in a hollowed-out book, she'd written, Victim, Harold Green. Found at base of ravine. Blunt force trauma inconsistent with fall. Ruled accidental by Coroner McVeigh. Rumor. Green's wife called 911 from landline. Dispatch says no such call logged. Witness at diner overheard Doyle say, that one's off the record. If they heard her twice meant what Daniel thought it did, then someone, maybe Leah Parker, had been the caller in both the Winters case and the Hollow case. And both times, Doyle had the power to intercept. The Hollow wasn't easy to get to. The service road had been gated off since 2012, and the county claimed the slope was unstable. Daniel didn't have Colden's maintenance badge, just a set of bolt cutters and a growing sense that someone was tracking him. The first 100 yards past the gate were uneventful. The second 100 brought the smell. Earthy, wet, but layered with something sharper, metallic. When the trees thinned at the rim, Daniel saw the remnants of the culvert job from the time card. Rebar half buried in clay. A rusted generator box. The lid bent like someone had tried to pry it open with a crowbar. And beside it, a small, black, rectangular object half buried in dirt. He dug it out with his hands. A digital voice recorder. Caked with mud, but intact. It took 3 days and a cautious call to a tech-savvy friend in Portland to get the recorder powered on without damaging the files. There were only 2 recordings stored. The first was dated the 14th of October, 2009, 3 days before Harold Green's death. Static, wind, then a woman's voice. Is he? His in the word cut off, replaced by the same click-hum Devaney had identified in the Winters call, the sound of a patch connection. Then a male voice, low, measured. You don't need to finish that. Just keep talking. Daniel froze. It wasn't Doyle's voice. And it wasn't Colden's, at least not from the one clip Daniel had of him speaking at the Rotary picnic. This voice was older, gravelly, someone used to giving orders, not taking them. The second recording was dated the 21st of October, 2010, the night of the Winters murders. This one was just 27 seconds long. More wind. The faint creak of wood, maybe the fire tower. Then, the same woman's voice. Colden, they found out. I can't. And again, the click hum, followed by the same gravelly male voice. You called the wrong line. If Leah Parker was a voice in both calls, she wasn't just a witness. She was a thread linking two supposedly unrelated deaths. And if the same man was on the receiving end of both, someone with the ability to be present at Garrison Hollow in 2009 and Elk Ridge in 2010, then Doyle and Colden weren't working alone. The obvious next move was to confront Leah directly. But when Daniel drove to her listed address in Sacramento, the house was empty, mail stacked in the box. A realtor's for sale sign planted in the lawn. The neighbor, a man in his 70s, claimed she'd moved out overnight 2 weeks earlier. No moving truck. No goodbye. Just gone. Back in Willow Creek, Daniel's encrypted inbox pinged again. No subject line. No sender. Just a single attachment, a scanned page from an internal county payroll ledger. There were only 2 entries. October 18th, 2010, Tower Generator Service, Elk Ridge, C. Colden, job code 999B. October 21st, 2010, overtime, unspecified. Dispatch, K. Doyle, job code 999B. Job code 999B. Both men. Same 3-day window. Same code used in the Garrison Hollow culvert job a year earlier. The note scrawled at the bottom of the page in red pen. It's not the job, it's who paid for it. Daniel needed a financial trail. Problem was, 999B jobs didn't go through the county's normal accounting system. They were billed to special projects, a euphemism for outside funding. When he asked a former county clerk about it, she shut the door before answering. The next morning, his car alarm went off at 3 a.m. Both rear tires slashed. 2 days later, a package arrived at the Willow Creek Library, addressed simply to Camille. Inside was a single cassette tape in a padded envelope. No return address. Daniel borrowed an old tape deck from the library's AV room and hit play. Static. Then Camille's voice, but not a recording he'd heard before. If you're hearing this, it means I didn't make it back. The name you have, it's only part of it. Colden answers to someone. Someone who's been here longer than Doyle. The Hollow was the first test. Winters was the second. The third is already in motion. You won't find it in the police files. You'll find it in the transmissions. The tape clicked off. Daniel thought about the fire tower repeater, about the patchwork sound in both calls. If someone was running tests, they could be using the repeater network, not for radio chatter, but for voice interception. And if the third was already in motion, then whatever had happened in 2009 and 2010 wasn't over. He pulled up the county's tower maintenance schedule. 2 entries for the coming week jumped out. August 21st, 2023, Elk Ridge, generator test. C. Colden, job code 999B. August 23rd, 2023, Garrison Hollow, antenna alignment. Technician TBD, job code 999B. Both jobs marked confidential. The night before August 21st, Daniel parked a quarter mile from the Elk Ridge access road and hiked in under cover of darkness. The tower loomed ahead, its steel frame silhouetted against the stars. A faint light glowed in the cabin at the top, not the bright white of a work lamp, but a warm, amber flicker, like a lantern. He raised his binoculars. A figure moved inside. Tall, broad-shouldered, light hair. Colden. Colden was speaking into a handheld radio. Daniel couldn't make out the words, just a cadence. Pause. Speak. Pause. Like he was listening to someone else between transmissions. Then Colden stopped, turned, looked directly out the window toward the tree line. Daniel froze. The binoculars were still in his eyes when a new sound cut through the night, the faint click-hum he'd heard in the recordings. Only this time, it was coming from the earpiece in Daniel's pocket. If this voice is the key to both murders, then the third test isn't coming. It's already here. And whoever's running it, just patch me into their line. But wait, who had just patched him into the line? And who was already on the other end? Stay tuned, and don't forget to subscribe. When you patch into a line you're not supposed to hear, you've got 2 choices. You hang up, or you stay, and find out why you were given the number. The click-hum in Daniel Cho's earpiece wasn't subtle this time. It was sharp, like metal snapping shut. One moment, the night around Elk Ridge was still. The next, he was inside someone else's conversation. Unidentified male voice. Repeat. Test pattern alpha. Confirm. Unidentified female voice. Pattern alpha confirmed. All channels clear. Then, a pause. The kind of pause you can feel through a wire. Male voice. We have a listener. Daniel's thumb hovered over the EP switch. If they knew he was patched in, cutting the connection might not matter. They could already trace him. If he stayed silent, he might learn something. But staying meant they would learn something too. Before he could decide, the male voice came back. Mr. Cho, you can put the binoculars down now. Daniel's chest went cold. The tower was still 200 yards away. There was no way they could see him, not unless they'd been expecting him all along. The amber light in the cabin flickered. A second figure stepped into view beside Colden. Not tall, not broad. This one moved like they were comfortable giving orders without ever raising their voice. The radio on Colden's hip crackled. Bring him up. If it had been anyone else, Daniel might have run. But Camille's tape was still fresh in his head. The third is already in motion. If Colden and whoever was with him were part of that, walking away meant losing the one lead he'd had in months. The climb to the tower cabin was slower than he liked. Every rung of the ladder felt like an invitation for a rifle scope. By the time he reached the hatch, Colden was waiting, one gloved hand on the frame. Up close, his face was older than the rotary picnic footage, more weathered, deep lines cutting from his nose to his jaw. Inside, Colden said, the cabin smelled faintly of oil and something acrid, like overheated electronics. In the corner, a rack of equipment hummed quietly, radios, receivers, and a tangle of patch cables that looked more at home in a military comms truck than a county fire tower. And in the center of the room, standing over a small folding table, Kenneth Doyle. He looked nothing like the reclusive dispatcher Daniel had imagined. Stockier, more presence. Eyes that didn't dart, they assessed. You've been busy, Doyle said, motioning to the chair opposite him. Daniel didn't sit. You intercepted a 911 call in 2010, Daniel said. 2 calls, Doyle corrected. And maybe more. You're here because you think the third one hasn't happened yet. The way he said it, calm, almost bored, made Daniel's skin crawl. If Doyle was admitting to patching emergency calls, it meant he was either untouchable or insane. Daniel tried to stay. Why Leah Parker? Why the same voice in both calls? Doyle's lips twitched, but it wasn't quite a smile. You think she's a caller. You're wrong. Before Daniel could press, the radio crackled again. Female voice. Pattern Bravo confirmed. Switch to live. The equipment rack clicked, light shifting from green to amber. On one of the monitors, waveforms began to trace across the screen. A voice came through, faint but rising. It was Camille. She sounded breathless. Roads clear. Heading in now, if I don't make it back. The line fractured into static, then steadied. You'll find it in the hollow, same place we buried the first. Doyle leaned forward and flicked a switch. The voice cut off. Daniel's stomach dropped. That's not live, he said. Doyle looked at him evenly. It is now. The implication was worse than anything Daniel had prepared for. If the voice was live, Camille was alive, somewhere, and moving towards something they didn't want him to know about. If it was a recording, it meant they were using her voice to bait him. Either way, Doyle was in control of when, and how, that voice reached him. Colden moved to the equipment rack, unplugged a small black box from the base, and slid it into a metal case on the table. We've got what we need, he said to Doyle. Doyle nodded. To Garrison Hollow. Daniel didn't get invited along. Colden stepped behind him, guided him down the ladder without touching him, and left him at the base of the tower. When he looked back, the amber light was gone, the cabin dark. The only sound was the wind through the frame. He hiked back to his car in silence, every step heavier than the last. If they were moving to Garrison Hollow, it meant whatever third Tess Camille had warned about was tied to that site, the same ravine where Harold Green died, the same place Leah Parker's voice had been heard the first time. But now there was a third party in the mix, the female voice in the radio calls. Not Camille, not Leah, someone else. 2 days later, an unlisted number texted his phone. August 23rd. 2:15, come alone. Attached was a satellite map of Garrison Hollow, with a single point marked at the north rim. The timing matched the tower maintenance log he'd seen. Antenna alignment, job code 999B. Whoever sent it wanted him there when Colden and Doyle were. Daniel debated calling him back up, a friendly reporter in Portland, a retired state investigator he trusted. But the more people who knew, the faster the wrong people would know too. And if Doyle's group was willing to intercept live calls, they could intercept comms between him and anyone else. So he went alone. Garrison Hollow at night was a different kind of dark. The trees seemed to lean in, blotting out the moon. He reached the marked coordinate just before 2:15 a.m. The only sound was the slow, irregular creak of metal in the wind. Then, movement. Two figures crossing the clearing near the culvert. Colden, and a woman with her hair pulled back, wearing a reflective vest. She carried a hard case like the one Colden had taken from the tower. They stopped at the culvert's edge, opened the case, and pulled out another black box. This one had a single red light blinking slowly. Daniel moved closer, staying low. He could hear their voices now. Woman, Channel 3 active. They'll hear her in less than a minute. Colden and Cho. Woman, already listening. Daniel realized with a chill that his earpiece, silent since the tower, had reactivated. The click hum was back, and then the voice. Daniel, it's me. I'm at the Hollow. You have to see this. I can't hold them off much longer. Camille, the same cadence, the same low urgency. But was it live, or just another replay, crafted to pull him in? He stepped forward. The beam of a flashlight hit him square in the chest. Doyle's voice came from the shadows. You wanted the third transmission. Cho. Hey, it is. Behind him, something in the culvert began to hum, low at first, then rising, until the ground itself seemed to vibrate. The red light on the black box started flashing faster. The woman in the vest turned toward him, and for the first time, Daniel saw her face. He knew her, from a photo in Camille's notes, from a file labeled Parker 2010. It was Leah Parker, and she was smiling. If Leah Parker had been the victim, the caller, and the witness, why was she standing here with Doyle and Colden, waiting for Daniel to hear Camille's voice? Every case has its turning point. For Daniel Cho, this was a night that turned the hunter into the hunted. If you think the truth ends here, it doesn't. The next episode will expose a third test and the real reason those calls were erased. Subscribe to Unheard Evidence and turn on all notifications so you don't miss what comes next. Share this video because someone out there knows the voice.